Hello, I'm David.
Hi, I'm Julie.
Welcome to part 3 of our countdown of the top 50 2022 games that we played. We're going to be doing now numbers 30 through 21. So you start, Julie.
Okay, my number 30 is The Warriors Come Out to Play.
All right, let me get that going here. Now we are playing videos here from our how to play and playthrough videos that you can see in the description below.
Now you guys know what we're talking about.
So this is a cooperative hand management deck building game where you're just like the movie. You're starting out in the Bronx, have to get all the way to, which island is it again? Coney Island.
Coney Island.
Coney Island, just like in the movie. And you're acquiring better cards and having to deal with rival gangs. And if I take the picture out of the way here, you'll see that there is an order of gangs on the upper right hand corner. And if you can get, that's your reputation, if you can get to the top, you'll have a better chance of winning the final battle on Coney Island. Whereas if you don't manage your battles very well or your deck very well, you can have a lower reputation and possibly lose the game. And it does faithfully recreate the gangs, and it has really, the art is based on many of the characters, although it is one character missing. So tell us, why did you put this as number 30?
Well, you've kind of mentioned that some of it already in your description. Excuse me, I think it's a fun cooperative deck building game. Biggest thing in that word is cooperative. I love cooperative games. I think the art on the cards is kind of cool. I know it's picture grabs or something.
No, it's not.
It's not?
It's they might have done picture grabs to outline actual images from the movie, but they did kind of an artistic representation of it. So it's not a direct screen grab. It's kind of like an artistic version of it. It's
okay.
But anyway, continue.
Well, I thought it looked good enough to be like the real thing.
Yeah, it's not though, but it's based on it.
The board is really nicely made. The miniatures always look like they're falling over. That was always hard for me. I kept thinking, oh my gosh, they're standing up. Next thing you look over and they're kind of going like this.
Yeah, they're not the highest quality.
And it was like, oh, that guy's going to fall over. We need to straighten
But why
him
is
up.
it your number 30?
Because the playtime is decent. And I do like the movie. I'm not a huge fan like David is. I mean, the biggest thing I remember from this is this one guy saying, "Warriors, come out to play."
Yeah, that's one of the gangs that you fight.
That's pretty much the biggest line I remember is, and so I'm like, I would play it if David wanted to, but I'm not going to suggest it.
Okay, but it is your number 30.
It is my number 30. What's yours?
Well, my number 30 is Wild Serengeti, which you talked about in the previous video.
Well, welcome to the party.
I think you need to have a drink. Your voice is a little scratchy. So this is a pattern building set collection game where you are taking actions to kind of a little bit of worker placement too. You're moving animals and adding animals to the board there to complete cards for points. You get more points when you complete sets. And if you look in the upper right hand corner there, you'll see that there is bonus points you can get in this particular game if you're able to get vultures or zebras at different times in the game. You also get points for that. So it's score the most points game when you play so many rounds. Now we did play a variant to lessen the game, the playing time, which is why this is a 30 for us. One, we removed cards that were to make it easier to score. There were so many cards in the deck, and basically I removed cards like you're not likely to, we kept certain types of cards in that you're more likely to score points, and we removed certain cards that were harder to get the sequencing, the sets. It was harder to make those sets of cards. And we lessened the amount of turns to make it play under an hour. But despite that, because you have to do that, we haven't played it that much because it's kind of an abstract game. Are you really going to be moving? I mean, you're supposedly a photographer taking pictures. But even then, you're lucky if you can find the animals, let alone get them into the scene that you want to do.
I agree.
So it has amazing production value because we had the Kickstarter edition. It is solid mechanics, but it was way too long with a lot of analysis paralysis, and we'd only play our variant version. And I think it needed more play testing because certain, like I said, we removed certain cards that were difficult to score. So you'd have to take a look at our how to play playthrough for that variant.
I like that.
So what is your number 29?
My number 29 is the Wizard of Oz adventure book game.
And I put that further back
You
in a
did.
previous
I know
video.
you did.
So you rate this higher than me.
I do.
Well, let me go over it first.
Oh, okay.
So this is a cooperative game that's like Princess Bride. You have chapters in a book that folds out like a game board. So that starts out there in chapter 1 where Dorothy has to get to the cottage there and then back into the house before the twister. If the twister gets to the house, you lose. In the meantime, the farmhands are trying to make the animals happy. You see you have cards on the bottom there. It's a hand management game where you're going to use those cards to carry out certain things. You see on the right side of the book there, there's 4 tasks to complete for the chapter. It usually is about 4 tasks. And you can improve your hand by collecting special cards. And it goes through the whole movie. And like I said, it's a cooperative game. So why did you rate this number 29?
Well, I love the theme of this. I really do enjoy The Wizard of Oz. Now, mind you, we don't watch it like yearly, but when we do watch clips and stuff, it just brings back so many wonderful childhood memories of it. And when David and I started playing this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Let's do the next one. And let's do the next one.
No, we
and
did
we played
finish
the
it.
entire book in one sitting. We've never done that with
No,
these
it's
playbooks.
actually over 2 days.
Was it 2 days? Oh.
But the point is, we didn't finish Princess Bride.
No, we didn't. No. This one, I really enjoyed it. I love the art. You do feel like you are in The Wizard of Oz. You know, you do feel like you're Dorothy or Glinda the Good Witch. That's
But
what
if
makes
it's so good, why is it 29? Why isn't it lower?
well, because there's no immediate replayability. And
Right.
you can, yes, we played it all the way through, but are we going to play it again this year? Probably not. But maybe next year we'll play it. And if we have a friend over who has a young person who really likes Wizard of Oz, maybe we'll bring it on and say, hey, look, we have this book. Do you want to play with us? And if they do, then I will be happy to play again next year for that. But I can't see playing it all the time.
Right.
So that's why.
Okay, so it's similar to what I said, but you would play it, more likely to play it than me.
Yes.
And it's because of the replayability.
Yeah.
Once you've won it, you're kind of like, you'll put it away for a
Yeah.
while.
But with my memory, I'll forget what had happened. So it's going to be like playing all over again, like
Yeah,
51st
dates, right? All right, so my 29 is Minecraft Portal Dash.
Ooh, okay.
So this is an adventure game where it's cooperative. So it's another cooperative game. You have your player boards down there where you'll be able to use items to you have your starting area there on the left side, and you have to defeat different mobs and then the boss. And there's different bosses to play, and there's different layouts you can do. So it does have a high replayability, and you see in the upper left-hand corner are blocks that you'll use to craft items and to carry out certain tasks. So it's very much a combat game in the style of a old RPG that you would have played in the 80s and 90s, and they do have retro games like that now. It's not a faithful adaptation of Minecraft where you can craft anything you want. So you are limited to that, but a lot of people have watched your video and said that their family enjoys it, even though it's not a direct interpretation of Minecraft. I mean,
Okay.
because you are limited to what you can do. You can't craft anything you want.
Oh, gotcha.
So it is a fun, cooperative, arcade-like RPG. It's more complex with adjustable difficulty levels, so you can make it easy to hard. I think we won it on the hard setting on camera.
I think we did.
So if you want to check that out. It is strategic with some tense decision making, because when you start using too many of your items there, as you see, they slide down. You have to spin blocks then to move them all up at once, or take actions to move it up, and you're limited on time. You're going to be losing cubes as the game progresses, so you don't have unlimited time, so that's a good thing. Now, it is a swingy game because you have dice rolls, and the way mobs can come out, you can get messed over by poor rolls or draws. The component quality is average except for the blocks. The blocks are wood. And Neutral is inspired by Minecraft. I don't play Minecraft. I don't mind that it's themed by it. Some people might enjoy it more because of that, but I just enjoy the gameplay. The thing is, though, the reason why it's 29 is there are other games we'd rather play, like Hero Quest, for instance, or other games that you see lower on our list, that give us a feel of adventuring, of an RPG that's not Minecraft. It's fine. We enjoy having it. Some people will, I think younger people will probably play it more.
Oh, yeah.
Because I grew up playing things like this. Doesn't necessarily mean I want to play it on a board. It's a good representation of it.
Right.
And occasionally we'll take it out. But I can see if our boys were younger, we would have played this a lot.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I'd have enjoyed playing with them. They probably would have picked it. But as adults, we're like, yeah, it's okay. We'll play it every now and then.
Well, you're not going to be happy with my next one.
What's number 28?
Conan the Conqueror Adventure Mode Expansion.
Well, I'm really surprised. That's right. We don't have a video for this because we will be uploading all 10 of them. So I'm going to show the book on the camera.
I knew this would disappoint David. I knew it would.
Well, so here is how it works. This book gives rules to play Conan cooperatively. Usually it's player versus player, where one person controls the bad guys and the good. One person is the overlord, the bad guy, versus Conan and his allies. So why did you rate this a 28?
Well, I do think it's nice quality pieces, and I like that it's cooperative. The playtime is okay. It kind of seems to drag at times. And
Well, it's less than 45 minutes usually.
well, for me, sometimes it drags. And I'm not a huge, I like Conan, but if you ask me to quote anything from Conan, I couldn't tell you one thing. So I think if you're a big Conan fan of the movie and maybe of the books, this would be really high up on your list, like I'm sure it will be for David. But for me, who plays this because David really wants to play it and I want to try something new, and there are times still that we play this and David still needs to help guide me, even though it's cooperative.
It is more strategic. So unlike Hero Quest, where Julie can hold her own,
This one, it's real hard.
This requires more detailed decision making,
Very much so. Yeah.
and that's why I can see why you're hesitant to play it at times, because it's more thinky.
It's very thinky, and I do need to be extremely rested to be able to play this, and I have to be patient with myself. But I don't know, if I had this or Hero Quest, I'd rather play Hero Quest.
Oh, well, Hero Quest is more up your alley because
It is.
it's not as detailed, not as
Yeah.
involved, whereas this is more up my alley because of the detail.
Probably is number one or something.
And you're right that it will not be my number 28.
I know.
That's for sure.
I know.
But I understand why it is.
Okay, thank you. I don't want you to be disappointed.
No, it's okay. My number 28 is Dice Throne,
Oh.
Santa versus Krampus.
I already talked about that one.
Yes,
you liked
did.
it more than I did.
I liked it more than you because I don't mind player versus player games.
True. Because you 9 times out of 10, you really kick butt at them. That's why.
What are you talking about? You've won just as much as I have in this game.
Not this
It's just
one.
that, yes, you did.
Oh.
Santa Claus has beaten Krampus, so I think it's
Oh.
about half and half right now
Okay.
that we played it. But the point is, I don't mind player versus player games, and that's what you're doing in this game. You're using Yahtzee mechanics to roll up to 3 times, to use sets of dice or large or small straights. You also have cards like in Magic the Gathering that you'll be playing to modify the dice or to do special actions. And the object is to knock out the other player. For me, I'm okay with that. Julie at times doesn't want to play that. I haven't been playing games since I was, hardcore games since I was 8. A lot of the games I grew up on were like that. It was very competitive. And I don't mind that so much, but I know Julie has to be in the mood for it.
Yes.
Now, it's a 28 though, because there's other versions of Dice Throne I'd rather play. It's fun to own this one.
Oh, yeah.
We'll look at the other Dice runs and we might play those over this, but it's a solid addition. There's nothing wrong with it. No. The only thing I thought was a negative on this one is that some of the text is too small and some of the graphic design makes it hard to read things. That was pretty much my only complaint
That's
about
not
it.
bad.
Okay.
Okay, now my number 27
Your number
is
27. Hang on. I'm going to move my paper here. And what is your number 27?
Creature Comforts.
Creature Comforts, which I didn't rate as is it low or is it high? What's the proper way to do it?
I guess low. I don't know if you want 1 to 50.
I
One would
think
be the
it's-
highest, then the other would be the lowest.
I don't know.
I don't know. Tell us in the comment section.
It's too, yeah. The point is, mine was rated at a higher number. There you go.
Okay.
So why is Creature Comforts number 27 for you?
Well, I really
Well,
like.
actually, I got to go over it because
okay.
it's in the previous video.
Yes.
This is a dice manipulation set collection game. Score the most points after so many seasons, and you'll see here we played a variant when you watched how to play and playthrough to cut down on the playing time. We played with less seasons. The game will go longer if you play with, because you play a whole round and then the number of rounds you play depends on how many season cards that you play with. And you're going to use the dice to acquire resources and to acquire cards, and then you're going to use those resources to play cards out of your hand to score points. So why did you rate this 27?
Well, I think the components are really nice. I love the art, which is always a big thing for me. The meeples are really cute. I'm a big thing on cute meeples. Can't.
It's actually, are you talking about the resources?
Yeah, I guess they're not meeples, they're resources. And it has a dice, and I love dice. Any chance I can throw dice, I'm good for that.
Well, you know what? There are meeples. Yeah, you're right. You were the raccoons. I sit
I
corrected.
thought there was.
Yeah, my mistake.
And last but not least, there can be too many choices, which does make the gameplay go a little bit longer than I would like. But for the most part, with David modifying it the way he did, I did enjoy this game a lot.
Yeah, you enjoy it so much we haven't played it since. So
Right,
that's why
right.
it's number 27.
That's right, it's 27.
Because it is more fiddly than other games. This is why I rated it at a higher number than you
Okay.
did.
Well.
And that's why I agree with your rating that's a 27 because we haven't played it in what,
I don't know.
6 months, 8
Probably,
months?
yeah.
It's been that long because there's other games that play smoother than that game.
True.
It's because of the playing time.
What's your 27?
My 27 is Dog Park. Now, Julie, I think, is going to give that a lower number.
I'm not saying anything.
Well, you haven't put it on your list yet.
No, I haven't. It's a surprise.
So Dog Park is a score the most points game after so many rounds. You're going to be adding dogs to your kennel. Eventually, you're going to end up with 8 dogs. And there's a bidding phase where you're going to bid your victory points to get the dog that you want. So it is set collection because you do want certain dogs that will give bonus points if you're going for instance, terriers or working dogs. And that's the first phase, is getting the dogs, bidding them. And then you're going to walk them. And you got to have certain resources to walk them, like balls and sticks and toys, sticks, and treats. I think those are the resources. And you go on the trail there, and you can go to the same location, but then it will cost. No, actually, you can block locations.
block
You can
locations.
block the locations that people go to. So there's a little bit of take that there, not too much.
Not much.
The 2-player game is well designed because it does have a non-player that will get dogs, and at the end of the game, whoever has the most of a particular type of dog will get those points. So if you have the most terriers, for instance, you get those points for that. And you'll see there's a track on the right where the one at the top gets more victory points than the one at the bottom. So in a 2-player game, the non-player opponent could possibly score those dogs and you don't get them. So if you didn't have that, it would be too predictable with a 2-player game.
True.
Other than that, that's it. Score the most points after so many rounds. Set collection game. So why is it your number 27?
It's not mine,
Oh,
it's
it's my
yours.
27. Oh,
It's yours.
thank you.
You're welcome.
So it's basically Wingspan meets Parks and Staccato, which is a set collection and track movement with bidding. The dog theme has beautiful art. So these are the positives. It has quality to average components because we have the Kickstarter edition. It's a good balance of playing time, complexity, and player interaction because you can block. That's the player interaction in the bidding. So that's the good thing. I did raise my rating from a 6.5 to a 7. So I used to be, if I was in the mood, and a 7, if Julie wants to play this, I'd play it. So my problem, the reason why it's not given a lower number is because it's a shoehorn resource mechanics with theme. The fact that you're collecting resources. Like you're trying to be the best park dog walker, right? But why does this dog need balls or need sticks or treats? It's kind of a shoehorned thing. Whereas in Wingspan, at least, you know that when you're going, when you collect that bird, you're putting that bird in a particular biome on the board, and the eggs that it can lay or the actions that it can take relate to the species.
That's a
Here
good
it's
point.
just, okay, 2 balls, a stick, and a treat, sure, whatever. That part I don't like about it, and that's why it turned me off. Other than that, mechanically it's fine.
Okay.
It could have, and the reason why I know it's rated higher for you because you like dogs.
I love dogs.
If it was insects,
Oh yeah, no.
you wouldn't have liked it
No.
because insects are kind of creepy, right?
Oh, very creepy. Yeah. Yeah.
But I did raise my rating because I know if Julie wants to play it, I'll play it, and it doesn't take too long, and it's easy to take off the shelf against. And because sometimes things sit on the shelf, like I don't want to read that rule book again. Here we'd be able to set it up and play very quickly.
Because let's be honest, he's the one that does have to reread the rule book.
Right.
I don't. So
All right, so what's your number 26?
my number 26 is Minecraft Heroes of the Village.
So I talked about that in the previous video.
You did.
So this is another cooperative game, and you need to defend your village from the mobs that are coming down a track that you will see on the right side of the board. If they get to the village before you build 3 buildings there, you'll see underneath that track, you lose. So you got to use the blocks to build the buildings, and you'll explore. You'll add tiles on the left side there as you explore, which you can use to get blocks or to do other actions to slow down the mob. So it's a cooperative resource management tower defense game.
Yep.
So why is it your number 26? Because you gave it a lower number than me.
Well, I love the pieces. I love how chunky they are. I love how things like that fit in my hand and I can really feel it. You know, it's not just some squishy little thing. I can feel it. I like being able to roll the dice. I think the art is really nice. I do feel I could use a reference card though, because there are times I did have to ask David quite a few times, like, well, what does this do again? What does this do? But other than that, and I love that it's cooperative. And it's a family game. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. It is definitely a good family game. Now, the reason why I didn't give it as low as number as you is because there's not much game there. We played it on the hard setting, and it was kind of too easy. There needs to be probably an expansion that would add to the replayability. That's the only reason why. It's a solid game. It's just not as replayable.
Well, so for me, I really liked it. I had fun. And that's a big key for me.
Okay, my 26.
What is it, sweetie?
We haven't had this game yet.
Oh.
Is the Mirroring of Mary King. Now, this is a 2-player asymmetrical tug-of-war game where you are going to, one player is the human side of Mary, who is modern day, and her ancestral ghost from the past is trying to take over her body. So it's a battle of minds. So you see the blue tiles there represent the ghost trying to win the game, and it's over 5 days. And the non-blue side is the human Mary. So it's very much in the style of a Magic the Gathering type collectible card game where you got to manage your cards. It is thinky in that you have to understand, and there's some abstract going on there. You see in the control cards there, those red rectangles, that indicates which tiles you can turn over. The good thing is that, well, I'm telling you about my review. The good thing is that it will end in 5 turns. Yeah. And if either side hasn't flipped it over completely, because you win once you flip it over completely. So if if I'm the human player and I get all of them on the human side, I win. But if it doesn't happen because it goes Monday through Friday, if it doesn't happen by Friday, it's really a clever design. Is that if you run, the person that will win is the one that has the most cards in their mind deck, and so you're depleting your mind, trying to win and fend off your opponent.
Right.
So whoever has the most cards left will win then. So I'm really impressed with the design. It's very creative. It's, like I said, an asymmetrical tug-of-war 2-player game. The theme is it's an accessible spatial reasoning. And Julie is, I think, one more than I have. And And that's because the visual spatial part, so she would do poorly at a game with pentominoes. What's that quilting game? I'm trying to remember. Where you're laying pentominoes down. Patchwork.
Oh, patchwork.
Julie cannot be competitive in that. It's just too much abstract thinking in that game. Whereas this one, you only have a 3x4 grid, and she's able to be competitive in that. So that's what's good about it. The art is very inviting and had decent pieces. It's a tense hand management, area control with some tense decision making, because you know that the more that you do, you're depleting your mind.
Yeah.
And if you deplete it too much, you're going to lose at the end of the game. Now, it can be possibly swingy wins. We did find out the first time we played that if you get the right cards, you can, because the ghost goes first and Julie plays a ghost, you can win on the first turn. It's actually possible, and Julie was able to do it.
It was great.
So that's my only negative about it. But other than that, as a two-player game, we'll stay in our two-player collection, and when we want to play something a little bit thinky, we're like, okay, let's play that.
I think so. Yeah.
But the reason why it's 26 is because it is so thinky. You got to be, you got to be awake enough to play it.
I know. It's on my list. You just haven't seen it yet.
So what's your 25 now?
Minecraft Portal Dash.
Oh, so we're similar to how we ranked this.
I'll let you get the video up, sweetie.
So go ahead and talk about it. I already talked about it in the same video here.
Well, I think it's a fun cooperative race game. I think the playtime is really good when we played with 3 players. It went at a nice pace.
Hang on a second. The reason why it's a race game is because you got to remember you're going to run out of blocks if you take too long.
Right. I think that the computer players, and mind you, I don't play this game, never have. I think they might like this better than Heroes of the Village. But again, I don't play the game.
I think you're right, because you are able to craft more items, change out your weapons and stuff.
Right. And I think David liked this better. Didn't you see it?
Yeah, I like this better than the Heroes of the Village.
Right. And my only negative is that the dice rolls can be frustrating. That's, and that's part of dice. But yeah, I really liked it. If my 2 Davids wanted to play it again, I'd be down to do it.
Right.
So that's my 25.
Okay, my 25, which you gave it a higher number in the previous video, and that is Star Wars Villainous.
I don't doubt that. He's a big Star Wars guy. The first one,
Well, the interesting thing about this game, we actually did not like it as much at first.
True.
Because we weren't playing it correctly.
True.
So the way this game works is you have a side. So I was playing Darth Vader and Julie was playing General Grievous, and you have different people you can play. And you're racing to complete your objective. So Darth Vader has to turn Luke. That's how he wins. And General Grievous has to eliminate so many Jedis and collect their lightsabers. When we played it the first time, we were playing with a more difficult... Julie was playing the bad guy from The Mandalorian, and that was more difficult.
Oh, that was hard.
So
I didn't like it.
I do like this better than the regular Villainous, because it has 2 currencies now. It has credits. It's not influence. I'm trying to remember what it is.
I don't know.
But it was like power. But it adds a little bit more complexity. It also adds a space zone on the right where you can add vehicles. So I do like the complexity of it, adding more complexity to it over regular Villainous, but that comes at a cost for it to be more accessible to other players. But for me, it's a 25, because I'll probably select this one over the Disney Villainous ones or the Marvel Villainous ones.
And if you really wanted to play it, I would do it.
Right.
I would.
And because you'll play General Grievous, you like that one.
I like General Grievous.
Now it may have General Grievous. Now it may have some asymmetrical balance issues. Ambition tokens. That's what they're called. So it does add ambition tokens and deep space location at the expense of accessibility. It does have quality screen grabs. So some games that we have in our collection, it looks like they got the screen grabs from a DVD. That's 480p, or even that'd be 720.
I don't
Now,
know.
when the screen grabs here are at least 1080, that's Blu-ray quality or 4K quality. They look really good.
Okay.
But in other games that we have, it's like, really, you guys couldn't get better access. But it could have been that was what was provided by the studio here. Ravensburger got good. Either they grabbed them themselves, or the studio provided better screen grabs. Now the component quality is average, and there's miniature imperfections. Unlike Disney Villainous and Marvel Villainous, the tokens that you use that represent your characters. In Star Wars, there's like these weird floaties in it, and it's something that must have happened with this particular production run, because I checked online. It seems like other people have that problem too.
Okay.
Now, I would have rated this worse. Right now it's a 7, usually willing to play. It used to be a 6 until we played it correctly, and it took more repetitions. So this game is in danger of someone not having a good experience playing it if they don't play it correctly, or they select a villain that doesn't work well, that's more difficult to play.
True.
But if you put the time into it, I think you might like it better than regular Disney villains.
I think so.
So let's take a look now at
Am I 24?
You're 24.
You're going to be happy with this one.
Okay.
It's Mob.
Oh, Mob. We haven't talked about that one yet.
We've not talked about Mob yet.
So Mob is a 2-player. It's also a tug-of-war game. Mm-hmm. You are playing 2 different mobs in the era when alcohol was illegal.
Okay.
So it represents Al Capone during Prohibition. That's the word I was looking for.
Okay.
And you have different locations there, and you see that you have moles. Those are hidden. So it's a worker placement game. Tug of war, because at the end of the game, you're going to try to get the contraband there, or it's represented by crates, and it would be alcohol, but they don't call it that just to make it more accessible.
Right.
But you'll see those chips there represent moles that are numbered 1, 2, or 3, and then you're adding in your workers there, your mobsters, that will also add to the location. And whoever has the most in the location will get the contraband. If you're tied, no one gets the contraband. And you see that board on the right, your action board, where you can move the DA to hurt your opponent. You can shoot at people in cars before they move into the location to add their strength to the location. You can move contraband around. So say Julie has a lot of mobsters in a location. You can move the contraband out of that warehouse. And so, you win the location, but there's no contraband there. So it's definitely a very take that 2-player game. So why did you rate it 24?
And I know you guys are thinking, Julie, you don't like take that games. And you're right, I don't. And when I first played this game, I was like, oh, I hate this game. I hate it. And poor David, he's like, oh, I really was hoping you'd like it. So we waited a couple of days. We tried it again, and
I think by the 3rd time you liked it.
By the 3rd time, I'm like, okay, I think I can do this. I can kind of hold my own.
You're right about that. It's not easy to be competitive at. It needs repeated plays for you.
Definitely need repeated plays for me. And if we were to pull it out tomorrow, I'd still need David to remind me how to do stuff. I mean, if I don't play it right after each other, my brain just doesn't remember. But I thought the pieces were really nice. I like the poker chips as the bad guys.
Yeah, they're weighted
Is that
poker chips.
The right word?
Yeah.
I found the theme to be interesting. I do like movies, based on this kind of stuff. I'm glad the good guys win.
Yeah, we watched the Untouchables before we played this.
Yep, I liked it. It can get kind of confusing at times where to put the workers, and it's because the dice can get real confusing. And poor David, he would always have to help me because I wasn't quite grabbing. And if you watch the how to play and play through, you'll see what I mean of how the dice works.
Yeah, because you use the dice to go to put your mobs in cars, and it's either the white die indicates which section of the board, and the black die is the number of mobs you put in there, or it's reversed. So that can be confusing.
It's very confusing. It's really strategic, which I have to admit I was okay with once I started to get more of the hang of it, but I do have to be extremely rested before I can play this. I have to be on my A game, because this one here, he will just wipe my floor with stuff. But I have to admit, I won a couple times, which I don't know how the heck I did it. I didn't win a lot, but it was fun to win.
Well, I think out of 3 you won once.
But
that's because you got more competitive.
I think so.
Yeah.
And the last thing, the reason why I like it is the playtime is doable. It's not, you're not just sitting around waiting for your turn. I mean, you are like, it's kind of a constant thing, which is nice.
Right, but it is very thinky for you.
It's very thinky for me.
And with it being a player versus player, you have to be in the mood to play it.
That's why it's 24, though.
All right, mine we've already talked about. My 24 is the Warriors come out and play, and it does represent the movie very well. It was an 8 though. Now it's down to a 7 because we haven't played it in a while. It's not that we don't like it. It's just other games we'd rather play. This is a game we'll bring out every now and then. Mm-hmm. And an 8 is enjoy playing, which suggest it. Now it's a 7, usually willing to play. it's just not going to hit the table as much because, like I said, there's other games you would probably play more. Right. Now, it is a faithful gameplay to the movie. However, no Ajax, which doesn't make sense because Ajax,
I don't remember who
there's
he
some
is.
things he says and what he does in the park is not PC.
Gotcha.
But the whole thing isn't PC.
This is true.
If you
this is very
if you
true.
look at the main character and what he says to the female character, I forgot their names. He's just as bad. Some of the things
he's pretty
says.
rotten to her.
Oh yeah.
He says some ugly things, which I don't remember what they were, but
well,
I do know
I'm
they were
not going to
ugly.
say it on camera, but
no, don't do that.
That's a negative. They didn't have. They wimped out on including Ajax. The game is about. I'm sorry. The game is about gangs, and they don't do nice things.
No, they don't.
I work in a detention center. The people there are not nice.
That's why they're there.
Well, I should say, the things they have done aren't nice.
Their actions aren't nice.
Their actions aren't nice.
Right.
So it's like, whatever. You're going to make your... Look at Darth Vader. He's committed genocide, okay?
This is true.
If you look at what he's done in the movies.
That's true. He's as bad as Hitler.
So does that mean that you're not going to put Darth Vader in a Star Wars game? So it wimped out on that. So it is a cooperative deck builder. It has decent card and board quality with tasteful art. It is, like what Julie said, it has weak miniature quality. And the rules are challenging. If you go to our How to Play and Play Through, you'll see that I did create a cheat sheet. Because I know that people who buy this will think, oh, cool, the Warriors, and they might not be gamers. And when they try to learn it from the rule book, and they're not experienced gamers, they're
going to be like, what the heck?
It will definitely challenge them, maybe to the point where they give up.
Oh, we don't want that. We want to add them to our little community.
Right. And it's a cool intellectual property, a cool IP. Yeah. It's just too bad that the rule book's not more accessible.
Okay, ready for my number 23?
What is your 23?
Blood Orders.
Blood Orders. Mm-hmm. Now, this is another game that took some repeated plays to understand. Mm-hmm. Here you are, vampires trying to regain their glory. They were outcasts, and now they've gone to a city, and they're different factions battling for supremacy or for authority. So you have 3 orders you can do over 3 acts. There are 3 days in each act, so there's essentially 9 turns you're going to take. And you're going to use what are called bleeders and elders to carry out actions, and then you're going to acquire victims to do more powerful things like rituals. So you see on the left column there is locations that you can use to get resources. In the middle column, you can use influence to get to get potential victims to use their powers during the dusk time, and then at nighttime, you're going to turn those victims into vampires, add them to your deck. And so it's score the most points game as you acquire victims, carry out rituals, and use your resources such as blood, because rituals will take blood, and you have to feed your vampires to get them back into your hand, because you're going to use your vampires to do certain things. So why is this rated a...
23?
Yes.
Well, it's very thinky and long. It does feel like, though, you are playing like you are in a vampire movie, which is kind of cool. I'm not going to lie, I do not do horror movies very well.
Well, the art is
very disturbing, so I highly recommend you be real careful who you show this to, because there are some things David even had to pull away from me because he knew I couldn't handle it.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
It's very scary.
But the art's great, though.
The art's
it's
very
a scary
good.
art.
It's super scary. I did find it difficult to figure out the economic system. Even after playing it a few times, I still struggled to figure out the economic system. And bless David's heart, he's trying to play his game, and then he's helping me with mine. But he was so kind, and towards the end of the last time I played, I finally kind of could do it by myself. But there are times I'm still like, am I doing this right? Is this the right thing? So
yeah, because as you play longer in the game, it gets more intense. You have to use more resources. It builds properly from game design.
Right.
But as a result, though, you have to use more resources.
And not just physical resources on the board, but your mental resources. And I have a very limited amount of that. So the longer the game goes on, the more my memory and my mental depletion starts going down. And I get to a point where I'm like, I'm done. I don't care.
Right. It will take...
So
even when you learn the game, it will take about 45 minutes. Yep. But with 3 or 4 players, it could take 2 hours.
Yeah, and I couldn't do that. There's just no way.
There's no way you can play this with more players.
But there you go. That's my reasoning.
So my 23
Is Blood Orders 2, right?
no is something you talked about in a previous video is Namiji.
Oh.
So Namiji is a successor. It's in the Staccato universe. But there's a little bit more conflict in this one. It adds in set collection. So this is a race game. It's a seafaring game. You're going to use your ships, and this is the Kickstarter edition, so you're going to see the ships there are they're high quality pre-painted miniatures. You're going to go to different locations to carry out actions, to collect cards, to complete sets, to get hidden score cards. But unlike Staccato, there's more set collection in this game. And you can block people a little bit more and do things a little bit more. So it has a little bit more player interaction than Staccato. Now it's 23 because I'd rather play this over Staccato.
Okay.
Now we haven't played it since the last time,
No.
but if you were to say let's play Namiji, I'd be like, okay, let's play. And it's
Okay.
it used to be an 8, but it's now a 7 because it just hasn't hit the table. Only because there's other games we'd rather play.
Right. Okay. Good night.
Oops.
Oops.
I'm blocking off my head there.
Oh, no.
Okay, what's your 22?
My number 22 is Disney Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. And I think David already talked about this
We
one.
talked about that in the previous video.
Yeah. So now it's my turn
So
to
you
talk
rate
about
this
it.
higher than you give this a
I gave it an
lower
8.
number than I did.
Yep. And I did this on
Well, hang
our-
on, I got to explain how it
okay.
works in
Oh,
case
yeah.
you didn't see the previous video.
Oh, sorry.
So this is a deck building game where you're going to use your cards to move your train cars around the board in a circle there, stopping at different locations to collect ore or gold and score victory points. I forget how it ends.
I don't remember.
I forget what the trigger is for how it ends, but what's unique about it is you see the middle part are marbles that you will turn the mountain, load in the marbles, and have them come down in different, so it has randomized marble action.
Right.
And you can acquire cards to improve your deck. I think it's a race game because whoever gets to a certain amount of points first,
Could be, yeah.
now I remember how it works.
No, I don't
So it's a
remember
deck building, score points race game. So why
Okay.
is this rated 22?
Well, it's super easy to learn and play. And that's a big thing on my end. If David can sit down and read this in like 20 minutes, be like, okay, let's go, we're playing. He's got me.
And you can see how the marbles are loaded in there.
Yeah, marbles are cool. It's a fun deck builder. I do enjoy it. And I like this game so much that we decided, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Let's go to Disneyland. And we actually planned a trip after playing this game. Wasn't it this
you're
one?
confusing that with Haunted Mansion.
Okay.
We got
Excuse
this
me, I'm
after
wrong.
our Disneyland trip.
Okay, well, I'm wrong. I
That's
apologize.
okay. But you do want to go back.
You do.
Because Thunder Mountain was not open when we went there.
No, I don't know if it's still open.
It is. It just
casual-
wasn't open when we went there.
Casual players will really like this. The marbles are awesome. The only negative part is getting the marbles out of the mountain can get a bit frustrating, but once you get them going, it's a piece of cake.
So there you can see how you load it in there.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you got to press down on the board to get them to come out.
Right. But no, I really, really like this game a lot.
Well, here's the interesting thing, though.
Yes.
We haven't played it in almost a year now.
I know.
So
Because you have all these other games, you're like,
Right.
hey, we need to play these. So
I'm
it's
waiting
my-
for you to
it's this-
suggest it. My 22, but I'm the same way because there's a game that we have on the next one that I have is number 22. We haven't played it in a while either,
Oh my gosh.
and that is E.T., another Funko game.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
E.T. is a pick up and deliver game, but it's also a race game because you got to help E.T. put together the phone. You got to deliver so much it didn't get him to the park. You see the spaceship there on the very top, that gray spaceship. It will come down to the board, and so every turn, if you have certain parts, you're going to roll dice, and when certain sides come up on the dice, the ship will move down. In the meantime, you have the police cars coming down, which you can block your access to the park, and if all 3 police cars get down, you lose. And then you have the agents that will run into you and slow down your progress. And so it's a cool hand management game. You have different variable powers that make sense. What Elliot does and what his sister does makes sense, and when the brother and the brother's friend do. So I'm really impressed with how it represents the movie. The mechanics make sense. The art is awesome.
I'm just surprised it's so far down.
It's a 22 only because it used to be an 8 because I would suggest it. But see, I've looked at it at times like, I'd rather play something else.
Oh, okay.
But I know we will play it again someday.
Yep.
It's just,
Don't know when.
There's always games that you're like more into than others.
True.
So it's an outstanding cooperative thematic movie mechanics. It's thoughtful, quality components. It's a gateway pick up and deliver. Now, actions can be challenging to less experienced players. That's the part that makes this a game that inexperienced or non-gamers could struggle with, is keeping track of your actions, because you gotta, I do this, then I do this.
Yeah.
Oh, then I gotta remember this to do that. So
It's true.
So that part I could see can throw inexperienced gamers off. So it is meaningful, but the choices are restrictive, can lead to alpha player dominance, which means that I'll see things that, hey, we better do this, or I'll suggest things that someone who's not as experienced may not do.
Gotcha.
So that is E.T.
Okay.
Some people don't like it because they thought it's. Some people would be like,
They didn't like the movie? Or?
well, here's the thing: people who like the movie are more likely to appreciate the game. If you haven't seen the movie, why would you get it?
That's true.
That's
a good point.
I can't see that happening.
That's a good point.
So I don't know if that's affected sales. And then you have the issue, just like with the Warriors game. Let's say you do love E.T., you see it on the shelf, but you're not that much of a gamer. There's enough complexity there that can
Mess you up.
could ruin the experience. That's why they'd probably want to watch a video.
That's a good point.
So it's one of those catch-22s that for an experienced gamer, there's enough meat on the bone there that it's light enough but there's enough going on.
Sure.
That that are like, okay, cool, this will keep me interested. But there's just enough too to make it inaccessible maybe for a casual gamer who's not used to playing hobby games.
Makes sense.
All right, what is your number 21?
My number 21 is Marvel United X-Men.
Now, technically, the core set came out in 2021.
Oh.
We did not pay for split shipping to get it in 2021. In any case, the rest of the expansions came out in 2022. So this is with the caveat that, yes, the core game is 2021, but everything else, the other $300 plus order, came out in 2022.
Oh, okay.
So this is a cooperative game, but here you're seeing us play the villain mode. So this added the mode where one player can be the bad guy, which Julie was. She was Magneto, and I was playing the good guy. So it adds that different mode to it. And what you're doing is you're going around to different locations, and you have to stop the villain, where you have to either defeat so many thugs, rescue so many civilians, or do something else there. I forget what this particular scenario. And you got to complete 2 of those 3 before you can damage the villain. So when you get 2 of those 3 done, then you can attack Magneto directly. Usually it's a cooperative game, but in this case it's Julie. It's me versus Julie. So why is this your number 21?
Well, I think it's a nice cooperative card game. Even when we don't play it competitive, that we do play it it's cooperative.
Right.
I love that about this because there are times we do need each other's help to get to where we need to go to get rid of the bad guy or kill the.
Well, yeah, that's how it's designed.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the art is really nice. I do like the art. I like the colors. The components are quality. I like the pieces of the hand, the fist, and the.
Well, we upgraded it. We got upgraded plastic pieces and upgraded cardboard.
Okay, I did not know that. So I like our pieces. Sorry. It is easy to learn and play if you were taught by an experienced gamer. So having David teach it to me, I picked up on it okayly quick, but I did have to ask him numerous times until I really started to get the hang of it more for help. But once I started to get it on my own, I'm like, okay, I can do this. And the only thing is, it can get frustrating if the bad guys get in the cards and you're playing cooperative. Thank you. And you're like almost there, but then the sucker bad guy comes up and you're like, oh, come on, really? So that's the only part that's.
Well, what do you think of the villain mode? Did you like playing the villain mode, or do you prefer the cooperative mode?
I actually prefer the cooperative mode.
Right.
Yeah.
We only did the video on the villain mode just to show you how it plays.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that.
I think we'll play the cooperative mode more than the villain mode, but
Yeah.
it is a nice option to have.
Well, it is, but it's just not for me.
Right.
No.
Okay, so my number 21, and this is the last game for this
Okay.
episode.
It's the same one I did.
No. It is one that you already talked about, and that is Blood Orders.
Oh, wow.
So we're not too far off
Nope.
on our ranking of Blood Orders. And the reason why it's 21 for me is because of the playing time. It is a longer game, and it is very thinky. This is a game that when I was 30 years ago, my friends and I, we would have played 2 hours and not blinked an eye on it. We'd have been okay with it. We would have played 4 players, and you would have been in between turns, you'd have been talking it up, and you didn't care how long it took. For us though, or for Julie, I know that she has to be very alert and very in the mood to play this. For me, it's a solid game design. There's nothing wrong with the game design.
Yeah.
It's just a long game.
It is.
It does have thematic. The artwork's great. I'm glad they didn't. Trick or Treat Studios didn't hold back.
No, they didn't.
And when it says, I think it's 13 and up. Yeah, 13 and
They
up.
really mean it.
They really mean it. You don't want to have young people play this unless you're used to.
It should be 18 and up.
No, it's not that bad, but it is scary. It could affect an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old.
Oh, heck yeah.
So it scored the most points card management deck building game. It's a medium hobby weight, but it's long, and it is a take that game. So I'm okay with that, but I know Julie would have to be in the mood. But that's why it's 21, because if I do want to play a vampire game, this would be the one to pick. It has decent components and quality art. It is PG-13 art, though, in theme. Now, it does have a discouraging runaway leader. The Night Order mechanic, we play with a variant. What that means is that when you're going after the same victim, if you beat out the other player going for that victim, that player gets nothing during that night action, which means that I'll get a victim which will improve my deck, and then I can do more rituals. We play a variant where that if I get a victim, I get the victim that I want, and if Julie played the right card, she can get another victim too. Right. So I suggest that you play with that. Otherwise, it can get very discouraging. We played by the rules the first time, and I could see Julie says, "Well, this is not fun because you keep on getting the victims, and I'm not getting them." We kept on going for the same ones,
right.
And I
didn't want to play again.
Right, I was overbidding. So it does have a challenging rule book with difficult to read page background. This is one thing that I talk about often because my dissertation is on writing comprehensible rules. It does a dark brown with black text. So at
that
times,
would be hard.
So at times it's very hard to read it, and if you have older eyes, it's even more difficult. And the rules are all there, but it does require some effort.
Are
to
they
read
good
it.
rules?
They could be improved.
Oh, okay.
But they're not terrible.
Okay.
You just have to be an experienced hobby gamer.
Gotcha.
To get through it. If you're new to the hobby, you're not used to reading rule books, you're going to need to watch a video like our How to Play video.
Nice.
So that is our 30 to 21.
Yep. Hope you guys liked it.
So stay tuned for the next video, which will be 20 to 11. So thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.